So in this video, I want to take a look at the scroll history feature on the VT132 and show a practical example of using it. But first, I thought it'd be good to quickly discuss the hardware platform that we're currently using the VT132 Standalone with. So this is one of my S100 machines. This is really just a backplane with a bunch of cards plugged into it. There's no case. There's a couple of switching power supplies back here producing the +8 and plus and minus 15. All of the cards in this machine, with the exception of this prototyping card and this one, are from S100computers.com. So this is the front panel that you can purchase the blank boards from up there. I can start and stop the machine from here. I can single step. I can do basic stuff like that. I can see the address and the data. I can set a breakpoint if I want to. Up here, an address to break on. There's a front panel switch, but it's just a pretty stock, simple front panel. This second card behind here with the connections to the front card is just a support card to keep it from all moving around. Plugged in, we've got a 10 megahertz Z80 card back here. Instead, this is a Z80 running at 10 megahertz. It's got one wait state for memory access and one wait state for I/O access. That gets me a nice stable machine at that setting. Behind this is an IDE hard drive controller that's got a compact flash adapter plugged in here. You can see the LBA address. When I took the picture that was accessing this disk, I've got eight megabyte drives mapped onto this 8 gigabyte disk. So that, there's 64 megabytes used of this CF card. The rest is throwaway. It is what it is. I've got a memory card sitting back here with, I believe, 1 megabyte of RAM currently on it. It supports paging of memory. So because this processor card can page memory, I'm running CPM3 with paged memory on the machine. And right now, when I took the photo, if the A16 address was actually being used for something, and so paged memory was actually in play here. There's an I/O card here in the back with 2 serial ports on these ribbon cables. They are EI level serial ports. And there is a USB serial adapter sitting here that gets seen as another I/O port on the machine. So there's kind of the hardware platform. And finally, this card here in the back has the VT132 Standalone on it. And that's what we see in the picture here. It's on the back of that card. I've got the VT132 Standalone, just 4 screws to hold it in place. I'm picking up +8, bringing it onto the card. There's a 7805 regulator and then a 3.3 volt regulator here. To power the card, I've got that EIA level serial coming in from my serial card to this little 9-pin connector here, VGA out, and a PS2 keyboard attached. And so this card, really all it's doing is picking up +8 to power the card and gives me a place to plug cables into. And again, that's the card plugged in the back here. So with all of that said, let's jump in and take a look now at the scroll history on the VT132. So I'm over at the S100 machine. We're capturing the VGA video coming off of it. Currently there's no power on the S100 machine, so let me go ahead and power it up. You probably heard the switch there. The VT132 is waking up and it's alive, and the S100 machine should be up. I should be able to hit K here to see the help for the monitor. P will boot CPM. As it's done here, over on the C drive, I have the BDSC compiler. Let's go ahead and create a new test.txt. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a little C program to kind of do some of the VT100 feature stuff on the card. And to do that, I've written a header file named VT100.h. And this header file is just, it's a header file that lets me do a few things on the card. Actually, I want to type VT100.h with no page, so it just types the whole thing out. But I want to get that header file captured in the scroll history buffer. Scroll history buffer only captures text that is scrolled off the top of the screen, so I'm going to scroll that all off the top of the screen, and now I want to create a C program. TE test.c. TE is a simple text editor. It's going to tell me that it can't open that file. It doesn't exist. That's fine. Include stdio.h. F. Hello world. Wow, it's a typing day for me. And then I can't type. So there's just the standard Hello World C program. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Test.c, so it creates a new file with it. And escape, exit. Compile it. Link it. Run it. And there it is. So let's edit it again now. TE test.c. And I want to use some of the features in that VT100 header file. So let's go ahead and include it. And now I want to take a look inside of that header file and see what things are available in there for me. So to do this, I'm going to hold down Alt, I'm going to hit Page Up, and that gets me into the history that's scrolled off the top of the screen. And we can see there at the bottom of the header file, and I'm just going to page up through it and take a look at what's in the header file that might be interesting to use. So there's a bunch of color defines from black to white. Okay. And there appears to be a sColor function that can be used to set, the example that will set the character foreground green. That looks good. I'm going to hit Escape to get back into the editor here. I'm going to declare a variable int foreground color for foreground color equals black. And color less than or equal to white. Was an S color. And hopefully that will print out text in color. Go ahead and save that. And there it is. So there's an example in my mind of using, a potential use for that scroll history buffer. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more to this. TE test.c. Let me get back into the scroll buffer. So Alt, Page Up, and then I can use Page Up and Page Down here to move through it. I can see I can clear the screen, so there's a CLS function. We'll make use of that. I can position the cursor. I'm not going to really play with that. I can apparently set a bunch of attributes. There's sColor and sColors, so there's also one to set foreground and background. Well, let's go ahead and expand on this and do background colors as well. B color for background color. For B color equals black. There's an sColors. And that should play with both foreground and background colors. Save X. Forgot to clear the screen. Oh well. That is what we expected, but it also trashed the palette here on exit. So I'm going to CLS is a program I wrote that simply clears the screen. See it back to a good state. So te test.c. There's a couple of things I noticed here. If FCLR is not equal to BCLR, oops. There's no reason to print white text on a white background. We had said we wanted to clear the screen when this started. And before we exit, I'm going to do an S colors I managed to hit caps lock here, I think. What did I hit? Scroll lock? Yeah, I hit scroll lock. White on black. And that should get us back to my default screen palette. And there's a nice little example of, like I said, being able to use that scroll back history, during development here. And again, that's Alt, page up will get me into the scroll back history. Something to notice here, I haven't said this before, is when I jump in, I'm now at the bottom of the scroll back history, and notice that none of the edit sessions that we've opened up are captured in that scroll history, and that's because only text that scrolls off the top of the screen gets added to the history. And because that text editor is a screen editor and is only occupies one screen and is using escape sequences to position the cursor and stuff, none of that gets captured, which is actually really cool. So actually I hit page down, I didn't mean to. Alt page up. So we've got pretty much that pristine scroll history here that we started with, even after all that editing and running of stuff. Because, like I said, only stuff that scrolls off the top of the screen actually gets captured. And of course, if we scroll the color text off the top of the screen here, now I jump back into the scroll history, we'll see that text has been captured along with its attributes. So, neat feature on the VT132, VT132 Standalone. It's going to be really useful for me, especially when I'm working on a header file rather than needing to print it or try to keep track of functions as I add them. I can just type it out and refer back to it right in the scroll history. For me, that's a neat, useful feature. I'm sure other people will find interesting uses for it. But I think that wraps this video up, and we'll see you in the next one.